I, Cami, have always been a very non-confrontational person. So my story is going to shock you a little. When I met my now husband, Damien, we clicked right away. We started dating right away, and I knew from the beginning that he was the one. Damien was a sweet and caring boyfriend who always loved pampering me. My own parents kind of neglected me, so I treasured him. When we were together, we felt like everything was going right. However, our life will not always be full of sunshine and roses. It all started when I met his family. Knowing Damien, I always thought that his family would be equally sweet and kind. Turns out I was wrong. What I didn't know was that he came from a very patriarchal family. His Orthodox father, Bob, was a conservative man with a stubborn attitude. When I met him, he made all sorts of weird comments about me. He said, "So, Cami, I hear you want to become a nurse." "Yes, Bob, my grandma was a nurse and she inspired me to join this field. I'm a little worried about getting a good scholarship. It's my dream to get into the best nursing school in the state." "Cami's a very good student, Dad. She's one of the top performers in our class. I take her help when I'm stuck with something." "What does it matter if she's a good student? She's a girl. There's no use for her to go to college." "Cami, don't you think you're better off doing something else, like baking or something?" "No, Bob, I want to be a nurse. It's been my dream since I was little." "Well, it's time to grow up now. If you become a nurse, you'll hardly have time to take care of my son. I don't know why he's encouraging you." "Dad, I can take care of myself. It's not the 90s anymore. We will be fine. Quit criticizing Cami about her goals." Bob didn't care what his son said. He went on interrogating me and asking me absurd questions. From the way he spoke to me, I knew he didn't think much of me or anyone from my gender. I was starting to get agitated but held my tongue. As I said, I am a non-confrontational person and usually want to keep the peace. Damien was also shooting me apologetic looks the entire evening. His younger brother Charlie didn't speak much but seemed to be a little better than his dad. When dinner was finally over, Damien offered to drop me home. He was constantly apologizing for his father's behavior. He said, "I'm so sorry, Cami. I know my dad really upset you today. He's very old-fashioned and just won't change his thinking. I've tried. Ever since Mom left us, he got even worse. Sometimes I think he takes out that anger on other people." "It's okay, Damien. Your father's rudeness has nothing to do with you. I am not blaming you one bit. I'm just a little disappointed in him." "Just give him a chance, Cami. I'm sure he'll come around. He just needs to see what an amazing person you are." We talked about the dinner and agreed that it was too early to worry about his dad. Our relationship was still very new and we didn't know what the future held. Bob, however, did everything to convince me to give up my studies. It's like he had an obsession with me being a housewife. I told him multiple times that I wanted to work and be a nurse. He never really seemed to listen to me. After graduation, I and Damien finally got into our dream colleges. He pursued a degree in architecture and I started a nursing program. I and Damien lived close by, but avoided staying together. I had a very hectic schedule and didn't want to be distracted. Damien was still living with his dad and Bob didn't want me in the house. Things were slowly getting better after Damien got his place. With graduation near, Damien decided that it would be the best time to propose. He popped the question the day after our graduation. We were ecstatic and looking forward to telling our family. My family, as usual, was very dismissive about the entire thing. Nonetheless, they were happy for us. When we told Damien's family, his initial reaction appeared to be happy. However, soon his reaction changed drastically. He said, "So, now that Damien has proposed, I hope you'll finally grow some sense." "What do you mean, Bob? I don't understand." "I mean, you're going to marry him anyway. There is no need for you to work anymore. My son already got a good job, and I'm sure he can take care of you." "He did get a good job, Bob, but I want to be independent, and you know this was my goal all along." "Don't tell me you're still stuck in your stupid dream. It's childish." Once you're a married woman, you need to be home and take care of your family. I hope you are not one of those child-free people. Dad, it's too early to talk about kids. Besides, what we do in our married life is none of your business. Cammy will join her job. In fact, she is starting next month as a new hire. Don't be ridiculous, Damien. You know how our family works. Also, you are the eldest son. You need to give me an heir. I would expect you two to start trying for kids soon after the wedding. Cammy's job won't be a good look for our family. How is she going to manage the house anyway? You will be left with all the chores and childcare. That's not what men do. Bob, I will manage everything just fine. We will split the chores. It's not like I will neglect Damien and our future family when I work. You can have faith in me. That's easy for you to say. No wonder your parents don't keep in contact with you. If you were my daughter, I wouldn't let you join college anyway. Bob's words were incredibly hurtful to me. I genuinely thought that he was going to change. However, it seems that he will always see me in a bad light just because I am a woman. At this point, I was ready to cut him out of my life. He was even criticizing Damien for not keeping me under control. It was bizarre. However, when I talked to Damien about the situation, he said, Cammy, I know Dad is not the nicest person, but he is still my dad. My mom had already abandoned us. I can't leave him too. Besides, I have to think about Charlie. He needs my help right now. But Damien, I can't be around your toxic dad anymore. Did you hear what he told me? Do you think we should reward this behavior? Absolutely not, Cammy. I don't support his behavior in any way. All I'm saying is going no contact is not an option. If you want, you can stay away, but I have to look after him and Charlie. I promised I wouldn't abandon them. Fine, Damien. But promise me you will walk away when he becomes too much. I promise, Cammy. I will always stand up for you when Dad bullies you. You can be sure of that. With that, I thought he had made the right decision. When Bob was informed about this, he did throw a fit. Bob started to berate Damien for allowing me to disrespect him. He wanted to be treated right, and I had to be a good daughter-in-law to him. Too bad I wasn't going to be the ideal daughter-in-law he had envisioned. Thankfully, his target for a prospective daughter-in-law changed when he met Laurie, Charlie's girlfriend. She was everything Bob wanted in a daughter-in-law. Needless to say, Laurie quickly became his favorite. He even started to favor Charlie for choosing such a nice girl. While I didn't care, I could tell that Damien was hurt. The worst thing was that Charlie and Laurie also joined Bob in bullying us. During our wedding rehearsal, they sat with us and criticized all my choices for the wedding. They also berated my husband for spending so much money on my demand. Charlie said, "Hey bro, your wife sure did milk you out of a lot of money. You need to get yourself under control. Before you know it, she'll be ordering you around and making you the wife." Yeah, I've been telling him that. Turns out he never listened. It's not long before he gives up his job and becomes a housewife instead. He might as well just give up now. You need to stop disrespecting my fiancé like that. Just because he treats me with respect doesn't mean he deserves your bullying. Also, this wedding was equally funded by the both of us. Oh my God, Cammy, you need to watch how you talk to Bob. He's your father-in-law. I would never imagine talking to him like that. Have your parents taught you anything? Besides, I think Damien can speak for himself. He could speak for himself before his wife took over the reins. Bro, is your wife limiting your speeches as well? Everyone just laughed while Damien sat quietly. I could see that he was extremely upset. When it came to me, he would always speak out. However, when people attacked him, Damien tended to just take the bashing. However, I wasn't going to let it happen. From then on, I swore I would grow a spine. Now that I'm married into this family, I won't let them bully us. However, my relationship with the trio was just about to get worse. 1 year after the wedding, I found out that I was pregnant. We weren't exactly trying for a kid, but me and Damien were ecstatic. I was still in contact with Bob, Charlie, and Laurie, so Damien decided to tell them the news. After they heard about my pregnancy, Charlie and Laurie never reached out. I did not hear a peep from them. However, Bob was super happy about the pregnancy. Suddenly, Bob was extra kind and caring towards me. He even brought me gifts and paid a lot for setting up our nursery. We did offer him money, but he refused, saying he wanted the best for his grandson. We didn't find out the gender because we wanted it to be a surprise. However, Bob was convinced that we were having a boy. Honestly, it did rub me the wrong way, but I ignored the feeling because Damien was happy to have his dad back in our life. However, Bob's attitude towards my job never changed. One day, when Damien, Bob, Charlie, and Laurie were out for dinner, Laurie said, "So, Cammy, when are you quitting your job?" "Excuse me? I don't understand." "You know, with the child on the way, you need to start changing your priorities. If I was you, I would never sacrifice my time for my job. My child would need me, and I wouldn't be selfish enough to leave him alone." "Our baby won't be alone, Laurie. Thanks for your concern, but you and I are not the same. We will look into daycare and babysitters when it's time. We already have everything planned out. There is no need for any of us to quit our jobs." My God, some women can be selfish. I didn't take up a job because I wanted to give all my time to my family. We are going to try for kids as soon as we get married next year. I can't imagine being away from my kids when I go to my job. That's exactly why I never looked for one. "Cammy, if you don't want to be a bad mom, you better listen to Laurie. I'm lucky she knows exactly what a wife should be doing for her family." "We don't care what your wife does for you, Charlie. I and Laurie will be equally responsible for the child." Now, there's no need for a fight. I'm sure Laurie will figure everything out once my baby boy arrives. Who knows? He might just charm her into staying back. I was getting irritated by the conversation, but didn't escalate it any further. Having a meltdown in the middle of dinner won't be good for the baby. Damien also looked pissed and told them that we were leaving. Laurie and Charlie were being obnoxious, but we knew why. They were just mad that Bob was paying us so much attention. Laurie even let it slip that she wished she had the first grandchild. I found her comment strange because no matter what, grandparents would love all their grandchildren. Again, I was dead wrong. When I finally gave birth after 8 months, we found out that it was a girl. Me and Damien were over the moon because frankly, we were looking forward to the baby girl. Damien and I didn't have any sisters, so we wanted to have a baby girl in the family. Charlie and Laurie also seemed to be happy. However, they weren't happy for us. You see, the moment we told Bob about his granddaughter, he just looked surprised. He refused to believe we had a girl. Bob came to my room and said, "Is this true, Cammy, you had a girl?" "That is impossible. My first grandchild cannot be a girl. Damien is the oldest and he needs to have a boy. How am I going to get an heir now? Damien, are you sure she didn't cheat on you? Our family doesn't have girls. There must be something fishy." "Dad, Cammy didn't cheat on me. We had a girl. What does it matter if your grandchild is a girl? Aren't you happy to be a granddad?" "Absolutely not. I was being nice to you because I thought it was a boy. If you had found out the gender and told me, I wouldn't have made the effort." "Dad, are you serious? That is your freaking granddaughter, your own blood. How can you be so cruel?" "It's not a boy and I have nothing to do with her. She's your problem. I have no interest in being her loving granddad. I expect you to pay me back for the nursery. You have scammed me." "We will pay you back, Bob. If you can't be civil towards our daughter, there is no need for you to be here. You can leave." With that, Bob just turned around and left. Yes, he didn't hold our daughter, didn't even look at her. He simply didn't care anymore. This humiliation was too much for me. Damien broke down crying when Bob left. He couldn't believe his dad could be so cruel. However, we were skeptical about going no contact again. We wanted our daughter to have a relationship with him. We were both hopeful that he would come around. Our little girl, Chrissy, is our world. She is the kindest and most well-behaved child we could ask for. I and Damien were extremely happy to have her in our life. Christy was a general sweetheart and extremely good at her studies. She became an A student in her class and was loved by everyone. We tried to facilitate a relationship between her and Bob. While Chrissy loved her granddad, Bob wasn't that keen on being involved. What little attention he gave her disappeared when Charlie and Laurie had a son. Since Andy's birth, Bob did everything to make Charlie and Laurie comfortable. He even gave away a part of his income to support their household. Andy was a pampered kid who became very entitled. Since Laurie didn't work, it was becoming hard for Charlie to finance their luxurious lifestyle. Bob, being the doting grandpa he is, sponsored Andy's expensive demands. He was civil towards Chrissy, but never that involved. When Chrissy was a teenager, we had the worst fight with Bob. It was Christmas and we were invited to Bob's house for the celebration. When we went there, we saw that his house was filled with pictures of him and Andy. Chrissy said, "Grandpa, why don't you have any pictures on your wall? You have a lot of Andy's pictures. I don't remember you even asking for a picture with me." "Well, that's because Andy is my future heir. He's going to be the head of this family soon. You are just a girl who will be married off. I don't need a picture of you in this house. Besides, this house will go to Andy when I pass. He is the sole heir of everything I have." "So you won't leave me anything?" "Why, Granddad, did I do something wrong? You are even paying for Andy's college fund. Why am I being excluded?" "Because he doesn't love you, Chrissy. He's my grandpa, not yours. You'll never be as good as me. Grandpa knows who his favorite grandchild is." "Grandpa, is that true? You don't love me at all? But why?" "Because you are a girl, you dumb thing. Grandpa always wanted a grandson. You are basically useless to him." Before I could intervene, Chrissy started to cry. She kept asking Bob if it was true. Bob simply refused to look at her. Charlie, Laurie, and Andy were just laughing at Chrissy because she was crying. Me and Damien were furious. From that day, we decided they would no longer be in our lives. I also prayed to God that I could teach them a nice lesson when they eventually realized their mistake. Chrissy was heartbroken for an entire year. She tried to get in touch with her grandpa and solve everything. However, he was ignoring her calls. Bob even called us up and told us that he didn't want to remember he had a granddaughter. We were furious and told him never to contact Chrissy again. After a while, Chrissy realized that she didn't need to have them in her life. I and Damien constantly assured her that we loved her and that was all that mattered. We put her into therapy to get better. A few years later, Chrissy got into a great college. Her grades were amazing and she easily landed her dream job as a software engineer. By the end of 1 year after college graduation, she was earning a very high income. We were super proud of her. She had outshone almost all her peers. Andy, on the other hand, was not going so well. One day, we suddenly got a surprise visit from Bob. He hadn't visited us since the Christmas dinner, so it was rather confusing to have him here. Damien was extremely mad and immediately told him to leave. However, I was really curious and wanted to hear him out, so I invited him inside. "What's the matter, Bob? You haven't shown up here since the Christmas dinner. Hell, you didn't even call us except to say you don't want to be in contact." "I know, I was just caught up with work. It's been years, so I thought I should visit." "Cut the crap, Dad. Just tell us what you want. I know you better than to expect anything pleasant." "I heard Chrissy has joined a big company as a software engineer, and I was hoping I could talk to her." "About what exactly?" "You see, Andy had dropped out of college. I did my best to support him, but he just wouldn't take his studies seriously. He blew through his tuition money on alcohol. I did take a mortgage on the house for his college, but he has spent it all. I was hoping Chrissy would be able to help him get a job." "Are you serious right now? You want Chrissy to vouch for your loser grandson?" "We are family. I'm sure Chrissy will want to help her little brother." "Wait here. I'll be right back." I went to my room and brought out my old phone. I didn't use it anymore, but it was special for a reason. I opened my phone and selected a picture. Then I showed Bob the picture. It was the same photograph of him and Andy that Chrissy saw in his house. Bob was speechless. I said, "If she is family, Bob, where is her picture? Do you even remember, or have you conveniently forgotten how you said she doesn't matter? You were the one who said you don't want a granddaughter. Suddenly you think she's your family? Look, it was a long time ago. We are still family. We don't hold grudges. Look, I even showed up at your house on my own. I will be happy to reconnect with Chrissy. And will you include her in your inheritance? Or is that still reserved for Andy? I don't have much anyway. I spent it all on Andy. The house is all I have left. Andy needs my help. His parents cannot support him anymore. They'll kick him out. I don't earn enough to support him now. There is no way my daughter is helping your loser grandson. He doesn't even have a college degree. Do you think my daughter's company takes college dropouts? You must be kidding yourself. Andy deserves this. If only you hadn't coddled him so much, he would have at least had a job. You made your bed, and now you need to lie on it. You decided to spend all your money on Andy. Chrissy had made it clear she would never help you out, even if it was the end of the world. I suggest you leave. We have nothing to say to you anymore. Bob left, but kept spamming us with calls. He was desperate for help. Turns out Andy has been living with him for the past year. He has already trashed his parents' place after they refused to support his unemployed ass. Bob, being the loving grandpa, had to take him in. However, he could no longer put up with his behavior. Bob even showed up at Chrissy's work to try and talk to her. Chrissy simply told him to leave before she called security. When Bob kept begging her for help, she agreed to give the money in exchange for the house. Bob refused to sell her the house, so she just left him there crying on the pavement. A week later, Bob called us and told Chrissy that he was ready to sell. He simply wanted Andy out of the house. He was planning to move far away where Andy couldn't follow him. Chrissy agreed to buy the house and the papers were drawn. When the sale finally happened, Bob did ask for a relationship with Chrissy. However, she told him that he had lost that right long back.